Yo, yo, yo. Thank you and welcome to SuitMan Productions. Tonight we will be bringing you Laughing Through Recovery. In this show, our comedians may have cleaned up their lives, but probably not their act. Tonight we will have sober comedians sharing their stories with you so you may have a laugh. Tonight, featuring our lineup, will have Katie Finn out of Jersey City, New Jersey, Mean Dave out of Newark, California, Paula Calamity out of Humboldt County, California. We even have an international guest. We have Jimmy Longmuir out of Glasgow, Scotland, Laura Hugg out of Chicago, Illinois. And please, everybody, make some noise. Get ready to yell your ears off and laugh your asses off. Give it up for the one, the only, the Kim Cook, our host out of Chicago, Illinois.
Whoa.
Hello! I am super excited to host the very first Laughing Through Recovery. Give it up for yourselves for joining us tonight. Woo! We have a super hot lineup, and I am going to go ahead and kick things off. And yeah, my name is Kim Cook, and it's weird having the last name of something I don't do well. But I'm lucky because my husband Andrew is British, so he's cool with it. Yeah. Like, it's all right, Kim. It's not like I've ever tasted good food. Yeah. Jimmy knows, right? No. So you guys, I'm excited to announce I have not had an adult beverage in over 12 years.
Whoa.
Thank you. Do you know how hard it was to quit Metamucil? No, of course, this is Laughing Through Recovery. I was on the booze. Yeah. And drinking was hard because of the strain that it put on all of my closest relationships, like my family, my friends, and all of the pizza delivery places in a 5-mile radius. Because I would get drunk and I'd order pizza and then I'd promptly pass out. Yeah. And be like, yes, I need a small pizza and a large man. Are you a large man? Yeah. Extra sausage on both. And I like my pizza like I like my men, hot and not too crusty. Bye. Yeah. And then the next morning, I'd wake up to several voicemails, be like, Kim, this is Pizza Hut. We can hear you snoring. Yeah. Get through the door. It's the third time this has happened this week. So you guys, I got banned from Pizza Hut, Domino's, and well, Papa John, he just stopped returning my calls. Yeah. But I had to quit drinking because it was scary constantly finding myself in the middle of a real life Jerry Springer episode. Yeah, I was at a bar, sitting in a guy's lap, just making out. Yeah, your typical Monday at 11:30 a.m. Yeah. I hadn't bothered to find out any details like his name or relationship status. And out of nowhere, this woman pops out. And she's like, Ricky, who is this bitch? Ricky, why you always got to pull this crap when I'm pregnant with your baby? And I was like, oh, his name is Ricky. Yeah. Relationship status, it's complicated. So then the woman grabbed a shoe, specifically a flip-flop that I was wearing, and proceeded to hit me with it. Yeah. I don't think you guys are grasping the severity of the situation. I got bitch slapped by my own flip-flop. Yeah. I got La Chancla. And I think it was that moment right there. That was my moment of clarity, because one does not know true humility until they've been bitch slapped by their own flip-flop. I'm pretty sure that's a direct quote from Gandhi or Confucius, or maybe Andy Cohen. Okay, probably dealing with all those housewives. It's Andy Cohen. But now that I'm sober, you know what term I don't like for drinking? Day drinking. Because it's just drinking. Yeah. And people always say it too, like they're being so naughty. Like, Becky and I did a little day drinking. We were on the patio just enjoying some margs. And I'm like, don't even get me started on Froze all day. Anyway, when I did a little day drinking, nobody thought it was cute, especially my boss. Yeah. Yeah. Kim, it's 10 a.m. Why do you smell like St. Patrick's Day? So yeah, I got fired a lot, but that's okay. Now that I'm sober, I have the delight of having mocktails, right? Give it up for mocktails. You have not lived until you've had a mockmosa, a Virgin Mary, or a cuddles on the beach. Anyway, that is my time, you guys. Thank you. We are going to go ahead and keep this going and bring up your next comedian. She is based in New Jersey. She is a clean comedian in both her hygiene and comedy. That's a plus. She was the funniest woman at the Manhattan Comedy Festival in 2016 and was selected for the She-Devil Comedy Festival in 2019. After tonight, if you want to see Katie, visit her website, comickatie.com, and that's COMICKATIE.com. Give it up for Katie Finn.
Hi. Thank you. Great to be here. Thank you very much, Kim. And like Kim, I have not had a drink in a little over 12 years, so that's good. Yeah, thank you. And I'll tell you, the only time I think about drinking is when I see that commercial on TV for the Promises in Malibu. Have you guys seen this place? Looks amazing. I want to go there so bad. If you haven't seen the commercial, it opens with this really great spa music and people horseback riding on the beach. And then it cuts, and the narrator says, do you have trouble with drugs and alcohol? And then it cuts to people doing like sunrise morning yoga. Do you have trouble managing your emotions? And then it cuts to this person getting like a deep tissue massage. The guy says, Promises Malibu could be the right place for you. And I'm sitting on my couch like, could be the right place. It's definitely the right place for me. I love all of those things. Can I go there, please? Like that. So the place looks amazing. If anyone ever got to go there, I'm jealous because it looks awesome. And I come from a big family. I'm one of 7 kids. My mom was pregnant for a total of 63 months. Oh. And World War I was shorter. So just sort of just soak that in for a sec. Let it stick with you. And one of my sisters, my sister Christine, we are polar opposites when it comes to alcohol. We are like Ted Cruz and Common Decency, just so far apart. It's not even there. Like my sister Chris, she has half a glass of white wine and is hammered. And I was a whiskey drinker. Okay, like white wine is water to me. I brush my teeth with white wine. I put my water bottle and I go to the gym. That is something I actually used to do. So like it truly is water to me, like water and white wine. But my sister with a little half glass, she gets drunk. And you know what she does? It's adorable. She stands in a corner by herself and just does a little dancing, just like this. Nice and quiet. Doesn't bother anybody. It's the cutest thing you've seen. For me to have been cute when I drank, I would have had to drink like as a 2-year-old. That was my only shot at being cute when I drank. But not my sister, grown woman. And when I danced, when I drank, it was like, it wasn't safe. Like you needed like health insurance. Like I was like this, like dancing all around, just like this. And then she yells out things that are actually good suggestions. She's like, you guys, we should play charades. And you're thinking, you know, that could be fun. We should get the charade stuff out. Like me, when I drank, in between my kicks, I was like, you guys, we should tell Amanda her husband's a dick, right? Like, I don't, Kate, that's, no. That was, my sister, Chris. I want to be here. So cute, so adorable. So adorable, you guys. I'll tell you, I am grateful to be sober because I really, during the lockdown, the lockdown was hard enough. You know, I was living in New York City at the time. Like that was hard enough. To have been drinking during that just would have been just impossible. I mean, I don't know about you guys, but I'm so grateful for the vaccine because my marriage just does not have another lockdown in it. We just don't. We don't have it in us. You guys, like, you know, your marriage vows for better or worse. Like by about the 3rd week of the lockdown, we got past worse at my house. Okay. Do you understand what I'm saying? Like that's where my husband, Martin, and I got to. Like I agreed to love and honor my husband when I married him. I didn't agree to stay inside with him for days on end, listening to everything coming out of his mouth. Like not what I signed up for. we have a 3-year-old, my little daughter Bridget, and one day she had a toy and she was dragging it across the rug going, murm, murm. Martin goes, Bridget, are you vacuuming like mommy and daddy? I said, well, if that's what she's doing, you're not the father. So are you drunk and high? Like, what? You don't even know we have one closet in this apartment. You still don't know where the vacuum is. Like, are you kidding me? And we couldn't agree on anything. It got to the point where we just could not agree. Even those basic thing, like what movie to watch. Like remember those long days in lockdown where it just felt like you were going to be inside forever and just stuck inside. I said, we got Bridget to bed. I said, Martin, let's just veg out and watch a movie. How about Toy Story? And Martin says, yeah, no, a movie's a good idea. But if we're going to see a movie we've already watched again, I'd kind of be up for Schindler's List. I suggest cartoon about toys that come to life. You go black and white film, worst atrocity in like human history. Like what? And guys, if you're in that, what do you say to that? And that's like, what am I supposed to say? What do I say to that? So I said, you know what, honey? Do we have any booze in the house? I'm going to Promises. The time has come. I'm going. I gotta go to that movie. Guys, that's my time. You've been fun. Thank you so much.
Guys, keep it going for Katie Finn. Okay, so our next comedian coming up, he's from Newark, California. He's a regular at the Punchline and Cobb's Comedy Club. And he hosts In the Meantime with Mean Dave on YouTube. So please give it up for Mean Dave.
Woohoo! Hello. Thanks for having me here. It's good to see other comedians who also can't handle their drugs and alcohol. I'm not alone. This is great. This is great to both feel like we're at a meeting and but we have to be funny. It's a weird thing. You might be wondering why I'm wearing my mask. It's because I'm hiding from the cops. There's no reason. Otherwise, I've got warrants out there. I'm kidding. I'm actually in a room with food, so that's otherwise I would take my mask off. And part of me also is like, maybe no one else is in here. What the hell? That's that addict brain type shit that I always I'm paranoid of all that kind of stuff. And there's a lot of cookies, and so I want to eat all these cookies too. I'm keeping my mask on to not eat the cookies. My name's Mean Dave. It is just a nickname. It's short for Meaningful David, so we can say that right off the bat. And on top of that, I am an addict and an alcoholic, 7 years clean and sober, which I am very grateful for. And thanks for the support from my fellow comedians here. It has been a boring 7 years. We know that. I'm kidding. Not boring at all. I feel like I'm, I like boring now as opposed to, beforehand, because I didn't know I had a problem. I had the kinds of friends that were like, Dave, we're gonna party tonight. We're gonna get fucked up tonight. You're gonna, I got the weed, I got the beer, I got the cocaine. We're gonna have a great time. And then 5 hours later, that same friend, after feeding me all this weed, beer, and cocaine, to be like, Dave, I think you have a problem. And I'm like, yeah, I need new fucking friends. What the shit, man? It is strange. And, it's not, it took a long time of figuring out that it wasn't the rest of the world's fault for, that I had, chronic disease of self-centeredness and all that. I just thought the world did revolve around me and that it wasn't flat. I didn't know that was a problem. It's just, I didn't know that I was getting in fights with people when I was still out there who were trying to tell me that it was flat in a bar. And I'm like, I don't think so. Last I heard it was round, but neither of us are Magellan. We've never been around the world. We're clearly in a bar and and I'm pretty drunk and I can feel the rotation of the earth. So I don't know exactly what, and I don't know. It's one of those things that when I look back on it, I just didn't know I had a problem. It took me a long time to figure out that with me, it's a vicious cycle. It starts with weed, and what goes well with weed, some beer. I drink the beers, I up the ante. What goes well with beer, cocaine. After 3 to 5 days, after a good healthy binge, what goes well with the weed, beer, and cocaine. A second, third, and fourth DUI at the exact same time, simultaneously, because that's when the acid kicks in. And it's the only way I can drive 3 cars in 4 different dimensions, 32 colors, 56 flavors into the sky with diamonds, and still hit a cop in anywhere I'm at. Because if any of you have driven high or drunk, you know, cops don't look both ways before running green lights at 2:30 a.m. after a hard party on Friday night. Some of us are just trying to get home safely drunk, officer. And that's why I did the cocaine, so I wouldn't fall asleep at the wheel when I was running my red light. Try to be safe, look out for people on the road. And that's why I dropped the acid, so I could synchronize my triple drunk vision back into one with the universe and make it home safely, you know? Whenever I do shows for normie audiences, I always tell them, you know, I don't encourage drunk driving by any means. If you're drunk, please do not drive. But if you're drunk and you're lost, I hope you have access to LSD, because LSD is a better GPS system than your phone ever is when you're drunk. Because wherever you are, you're exactly where you're supposed to be on LSD. That's been my experience. Now I find that in the power of the program. That's the beauty of doing this 12-step program that I've been a part of now. I go to both Narcotics Anonymous and Alcoholics Anonymous meetings. There are differences between the two. NA is basically AA for people who grew up without their fathers. That's the primary difference down there. And Alcoholics Anonymous is pretty much Narcotics Anonymous, except you can still drink and do drugs based on what I've seen. So that's kind of a weird thing. Not to break anonymity or anything, but yeah, and I do enjoy going to both. I have one little, well, it's a kind of, this is a story that's going to take a minute, but it should take me on out of this my set time. I learned the power of hugs in these meetings. You know, we're in a time right now with the pandemic. It's insane with, you know, because we've been doing a lot of Zoom meetings and stuff like that. I love the Zoom meetings. Zoom bombers are pretty savvy now. You know, they Zoom bomb the recovery meetings. They Zoom bomb the comedy shows. And now even I saw a Zoom bomber who was masturbating and he had his Venmo sign up for tips. And I was like, wow, I had to shoot him $5 just for the nerve. And, but it reminds me just, you know, when we go to these meetings, you know, how much a hug means. And I remember on this one day I was at a meeting I'll go ahead and name the city, San Jose. It's a rough town to get recovery in. And why? Because it's a rough town to share your drugs in too. All right. It's just not an easy place. And I was at a meeting down there. And there was a guy there who was fairly intimidating. I remember seeing him there before. I remember I remember I just messed up his name and he corrected me. And I just remember, okay, never mess up his name. And he was sharing about the importance of hugs. And it was a really strong message. And then there was like 10 minutes left in the meeting. No one else was sharing. And I was like, oh shit, I'll go share, whatever. So I went up there and I shared about how for whatever reason, when I'm in the group of people that are all hugging together, everybody's hugging, they get to me and these very same people will be like, it's good to see you, Dave. I'm like, what? And this is before the pandemic, mind you. Okay. This is, you know, people 6 feet before all of this social distancing. I'm getting social distanced in the rooms hard. And the thing is, all it inspires me is like, I didn't want your stinking hug to begin with. I get defensive and resentful right away. And I was pointing out how one of the things about, you know, when I first got here, as I've been getting more time, I still get awkward with the hug sometimes. It's kind of like one of those things where you go in for the fist bump and the other person comes in for the handshake, and then you switch at the exact same time, and then it turns into that awkward handshake and the fist bump. And that's sometimes how my hugs feel when I go in for the hug and I don't know if they're down for it and whatever. And if they don't want the hug, I just don't like. It reminds me of back in junior high, when at a junior high dance that I made the mistake of going to, and some girl told me, hey, go ask so-and-so to dance. And I would go ask her to dance and she would say no. And I just felt set up. I'm like, I didn't even want to dance with you to begin with. Now I just got this raw rejection in my face, you know? And I don't like that feeling. And that's how sometimes this awkwardness of hugs happens. Right after I did that share, we go to circle up to pray it out, right? And for anybody who's been to the meetings, you know, this was the meeting with like a 30-second prayer. So we go to circle up and we're all going to hold hands. And before everybody circles up, from across the room, there was a dude that I'm only going to describe as Pelican Bay. He looked like this. All right. This is pretty much what the dude looked like. All right. A wall of prison. All right. He with the tattoos, the 9, he had the tear tattoo, all of that. he literally crossed the room. It's a big meeting too. He walked across the room directly at me. I did not know why. I did not know this person, didn't know him money, and nothing like that. So he walks from across the room and he stands right next to me. And I'm kind of like, why could he, what possibly could he be standing next to me for? And so I go to hold hands. I hold the hand to the dude to the right of me, and then I go to hold his hand, and he's just holding a fist. I did not know what to do, and I had to think fast because I had to connect the circle. So I just held on to his fist. I was the hand catcher to his fist pitcher, if you will. Speaking prison love terms. And the thing was, so then the prayer is only 30 seconds. And this was the weirdest thing about it. In the middle of the prayer, that's when the dude went from the fist to slowly holding my hand. It was the creepiest, sweetest thing in the world. We're now prison married as a result of this. But no, and the fact is, after the prayer, I turned to dude and I'm like, I gotta say hi or whatever. So I turn, I'm like, hey, I'm Dave, good to meet you or whatever, with the handshake. He's like, yeah, I'm Pelican Bay. It's nice to meet you too. And then I thought about the importance of the hugs. I'm like, I gotta try. That's what the whole message was today in the meeting. And I said, you want a hug, dude? And he said, I'm good on the hug, man. And that was the most I've ever wanted to relapse in all 7 years, just to spite him, so I could go back to that meeting like, this dude didn't hug me, and that's why I got high. And but no, I had to laugh at it and all that stuff. And so yeah, just to let you know, it hugs feel just as stupid in in sobriety as they can, not otherwise. By the way, just so we can clarify, I know you can't really see my face, but I just want to state for the record, a lot of people like to tell me who I look like. I'm not Jesus. I am not Charles Manson. I am not Rasputin. I am not the guitar player from Soundgarden or the bass player of Metallica. I'm not the actor Jimmy Smits with long hair and a beard. I'm not Osama bin Laden's courier in the movie Zero Dark 30. I am not a Mexican Russell Brand, a Mexican Allman Brother, a Mexican Rob Zombie. I am not Mexican Steve Aoki, whoever the hell this dude is. If I am wearing a backwards hat, I am not Mexican Silent Bob, aka Roberto de Silencio. I'm not Mexican Lieutenant Dan with his legs grown back, even though I do resemble that dude somewhat. And only if you're attractive and I assume damn near blind, I'll pretend to be Aquaman, but I look nothing like this dude. He's 6 foot sexy. I'd have sex with him. I'm 5'9". I'm dollar store Aquaman. So that's my time. Thank you very much. Have a great night.
All right, you guys, keep it going for Mean Dave. And an excellent reminder of hugs, not drugs. All right, so our next comedian coming up, she is from California, and she wanted me to share that she is a Native American comic from Northern California, who moonlights as a mom during the day, and she serves her remaining time in her penitentiary. And you can catch her making people laugh on Zoom and at Savage Henry's Comedy Club in Eureka, California. Please give it up for Paula Humboldt.
Hello. Well, thank you, Dante. I have to thank you first for doing all the things you've been doing for our Zoom comedy community. I thank you from the bottom of my heart. So I'm going to give you the clap you can tell your mama about. Yeah, it's no easy feat trying to get Jello to stick to the wall for these mics, and producing these shows. Even harder because they're in boxes. Like you can't even growl them properly because you can't get to them, It's all good. And thank you to Kim for being the host and all the other comics. It's great. I'm trying to chew up some of my minutes here. Pretty slick, huh? I do want to thank my internet sponsor. Because see, my internet is the sponsor of my neighbor tonight. I did that totally backwards. My neighbor is the sponsor of my internet tonight. Thankful he doesn't know that yet. Wow, that was cool. I think it's safe to say my non-grass smoking brain isn't perfectly stoned. We're not supposed to be doing drugs here. life has been very stressful, hence the Zoom comedy. So I've decided that this time I'm going to pick my addiction. Just gonna be smart about it. Because the last time an addiction snuck up on me, it was donuts. And that's not cool. It's not cool at all, you guys. So now it's Zoom comedy. It's great. So freaking fun. I love it. My kids, not so much. They're like, wait, where'd mommy go? What the hell? Yeah, I got a lot of kids. Back when I was young and dumb and doing too many drugs, I thought it was a good idea to get married and have kids. The only good thing about that is the kids aren't bastards. Yay. I got that one right. You guys don't know how dangerous it is, man. God, it's so scary to have kids. You don't even know what you're doing to yourself till you've done it to yourself. That's heavy. So bad. There was a lot of warning signs I didn't see, probably because I was stoned. Because right there in the word motherhood is the word hood. What do we know about hoods? They're dangerous. Yeah. And in the motherhood, when you make more than one kid, you make your own gang. That's kind of dumb. So bad. I only made the second kid because the first kid needed a playmate. I mean, real talk. You guys have no idea how long 24 hours a day is when you have a little kid, you know? They're sweet and cute, but man, do they come dumb, man. They come dumb because they come from dumb cum, you know? And it just keeps fucking circling. Yeah. So I try to warn people about the dangers of parenting, you know, because you can leave a marriage. Leaving kids is so much harder. There's crying and screaming and sometimes the courts get involved, and who wants to be in a court? No way. The kids are kind of fucked up too, you know, so better to be smart. Yeah, so this new addiction, I love this Zoom comedy. It's got me acting pretty sketchy. You know, I'm hiding from the kids. I'm doing things I would never do. And I catch myself doing really embarrassing things like Zoom face. I mean, that's traumatizing to have to look at yourself so much to do the comedy on the Zoom, you know? Yeah. Whoever the comic god is, he didn't intend for us to look at ourselves this much. I guarantee it. I just fucking do. Oh, it's crazy. And then coincidentally, I noticed that I've been binge watching that intervention show. That's gotta be a sign. That can't be good, right? Yeah. So I'm gonna go back to my favorite show, my stalwart forever show. It's that 600-pound life.
Yeah.
You know? Because I'm those bitches goal weight. I mean, how can I not like that? It makes me feel good every freaking day. Life is so hard. Yeah, the paranoia is kicked in. Like waiting for these mics feels like I'm waiting for my dealer to pick up the phone. That's pretty exciting. I mean, how many things in life nowadays that gets you going like that? I mean, real dealers, not the bud tenders down at the dispensary. You know, the real dealers from my youth. You know, I grew up in San Jose. San Jose don't care if you're out of weed. It just don't. You know, you got to get smart or shut the hell up. You know, luckily I've only ever really smoked weed because I didn't want to screw my life up too bad. You know, no, that's great. I've done a lot of dumb things though. Like one of the things I did early in my motherhood, I decided not to spank my kids. Out and proud. Told anyone who would listen, I'm not spanking my kids. My dad's like, okay, well, if you're not gonna spank the kids, you should know this right off the bat. It takes a very long time to raise the dumb out of a kid, honey. What are you trying to say? Then my mom, she's like, babe, why do you think the creator put a crack in that ass? To absorb the blow from when you got spanked, you know? Crack that ass has been around longer than in the rap songs, you know? She has a point. She does. So I may not spank them, but I'll trick them. I'll trap the kids, and I've taped the kids. Videotape, not packaging tape, but sometimes I wonder what would happen if I did that. Oh, it's crazy. No, but I think there are time and places for things, you know, and with my kids, I'm trying to teach them right things, like with me stealing the internet. When it runs slow and they complain, I say things aren't supposed to work well when you're stealing them. Okay, standards, right? Because fucking life's hard, and I think it's really important that you teach them lessons. And since you can't spank them, it causes a lot of bad side effects. It just does. Like, I had a kid a few years ago who had weed on him. He was 12. His balls hadn't dropped yet. I didn't think it was appropriate. I know we live in Humboldt and everything, babe, but so I couldn't get the weed off of him. I did everything. I interrogated him. I had his peers put pressure on him. Nothing worked. And then one day it hits me. I'm going to fake a phone call from the vice principal of the school. Because these kids are dumb. What do they know? Yeah. I made the phone ring for authenticity because I was all the way in. I had never done this to the kids before, and I wanted to see what would happen. Got a little excited. They're all sitting on the couch having their drumsticks for treat, and I start the phone call, and I'm like, hello, Miss Darnell. Oh, the weed. Oh, you. And as I'm talking, I look over, and the naughty one's looking right at me. I wasn't even paying attention. Right then, I just realized he convicted himself in the mom's court of law. Like, the rest is gravy, Let's see how this goes. So I get off the phone, and I'm very morose, like, oh, he comes up, Mom, what's going on? I said, well, son, that weed you say you don't have? Well, you got it from the police chief's son, and they're staying in a canine unit in the morning because this thing is a thing, and I can't really help you too much. And I swear his ball shot up even higher. It's like, oh my God, what are we gonna do, Mom? Well, honey, I don't know if you know this, but every kid gets a thing where their mom will help save them. Yours came early. It's not Mommy's fault, but I'll help you. But you got to bring me the weed, And he's like, and he runs away. And I think, man, this is a moment. Is he going to man up or puss out? I didn't know what was going to happen. So he comes back a few minutes later, and he's got this box, and the box is dusty, dirty looking. And it hits me. That little fucker buried it. Who knew he was smart enough to bury shit, you guys? Because kids are super dumb, like I told you earlier, and my dad's told me, you just never know where you're going to get a gem from them. It takes a long time for some of these game plans to pan out, with the kid. So I tell him, I said, thank you, son, you dumb little fucker. Make me talk to all these fake people just to bust your ass. It's crazy. He went to bed. I decided I was going to smoke that bud to my head because I hadn't smoked weed in a long time, So I went and I got that Coke can, and I washed it out because I'm a lady, and I made a little pipe out of it, with the carb. And then I had a massive panic attack because weed had changed, and Humboldt weed's even better than fucking brick weed. You know what I mean? Oh my God, massive panic attack. And it just taught me right then that in parenting, no good deed goes unpunished. It just doesn't. Yeah. So y'all need to stay safe, take your birth control, and stay out of the parenthood. I'm telling you. Have a good night. Thank you.
Whoa.
All right, you guys, keep it going for Paula.
Yeah.
All right, now we are going to go overseas to Scotland. So this next comedian wandered into comedy by mistake, as most of us do, in October 2018, and has kept doing it since then for some reason. He's kept going with online gigs since COVID and started a podcast called Oh Lockdown, How We Laughed, chatting to fellow comedians and other creative people about staying active in a pandemic. Please give it up for Jimi Longmuir.
Woo! Well, yeah, I'm from Scotland, so I do have a pretty thick accent, so you might struggle to understand what I'm saying. But I'm going to warn you, if you don't laugh, I'm going to put this on and make it worse. I've actually been walking about with most of my set written in my hand all day. So if you happen to see me in the supermarket, I'm sorry for the spoilers, but if you could read the jokes, you were standing too close. Obviously, I'm here to tell some jokes, but, given the format, I feel like I should be issuing some kind of plea or assurance to the camera, like, I'm okay, no one's hurt me, they're feeding me, but can you please make sure the funds are transferred by close of business on Friday? One thing they tell you when you're doing comedy is be yourself. Well, here I am, completely alone in my house doing comedy on my phone because I'm desperate for validation. I don't think be yourself's the best advice anyway. I mean, I'm a paranoid, anxious, and depressed, recently bereaved, unemployed, recovering addict suffering from symptoms of complex PTSD. And I've been under lockdown for a year. I don't think you're ready to see me be myself. These Zoom gigs kind of remind me how I started in comedy. I actually started in a workshop a couple of years ago. It was actually not bad at first. Like, it's a really cool place to learn how to tell jokes and deal with an audience. And every time we would get in, the guy would say what happens in the workshop stays in the workshop. But then he'd put everything up on fucking Facebook. He used to tell me I was brilliant, and I really thought I was brilliant at comedy until I noticed he said that to everyone. He put a positive spin on everything. He would have probably told Ted Bundy that at least he was a good Republican. But I'm fairly new to comedy, but I'm not new to public performance. I actually used to DJ. I was a DJ for years and years, doing like raves and festivals and things. But it wasn't too safe. It was a very dangerous occupation, especially when you're driving to Glastonbury and the driver turns around and says, "Can you hold this steering wheel while I take a line of coke?" We used to experiment with drugs when I was DJing, and that wasn't too safe either, because no one ever used lab coats or goggles or anything. But I remember going to see The Matrix when I first started, sitting there in the cinema, and it was like red pill or blue pill. And I thought, fuck that, man, give me both. I've never taken one tablet of anything in my life. Dream on, Morpheus. It was actually a pretty hectic lifestyle. I ended up in trouble over it, actually. We've got a charge in Britain that the specific wording of the charge is being concerned in the traffic of LSD. And I was sentenced to 3 months in prison for that, which is really unfair when you think about it, because who wouldn't be concerned in the traffic, especially when LSD is involved? I actually was set up by a close friend over that, but I didn't hold any grudges. In fact, I even went to his funeral a few years later, despite the fact it hadn't even been me that killed him. All my friends said I just went to piss in his grave, and I said, "Don't be silly, man. He's getting cremated." But jail worked. Jail was actually, I was actually fully rehabilitated when I came out of prison because I was a junkie. But I got in the methadone program when I came out, and I thought that would be my problem solved. But I realised it wasn't going to be quite so simple when I was at home watching a documentary about Harold Shipman. Now, Harold Shipman's a British serial killer who was also a doctor. And his modus operandi was to enter the homes of his elderly patients and administer a massive dose of diamorphine. So I knew I was in a bit of trouble when I sat there thinking, wow, man, I wish Dr. Shipman would visit me. And when I finally did get off of drugs, it was actually out of spite, believe it or not. I had to get a gallbladder operation, and the doctor refused to operate because he said I was too fat, I still smoked, and they had to run a second test to make sure I wasn't the resurrected corpse of Sid Vicious due to the opiates in my system. So I went home, I didn't smoke, I ate better, and I didn't take any drugs. If you can imagine that as like the world's shittest training montage of me not smoking, not taking drugs and eating better. And then I went back to the hospital all puffed up going, "Look, I'm slimmer, I don't smoke, I've stopped taking drugs." And the doctor was like, "You're all right, man, we'll take your gallbladder as long as you make sure you fuck off right after the operation." But I stopped taking drugs just in time because I actually had to become a carer. My mum was ill with MS and I was a carer for 8 years. It was actually like an 8-year lockdown. I had no social life, and in 8 years I barely had any sex. Least of all with her. But she passed away a couple of years ago, and I got my life back, and I got into the world online dating and things. And when I joined Tinder, the first thing I actually realised about Tinder is it's almost got the perfect symbol. It's a little circle with a flame inside, and all it's really missing is a little pile of ashes that used to be human hearts directly underneath it. And actually, I was very careful to point out in my first Tinder profile that I wasn't just looking for sex. And I think most of the people that seen the profile must have thought just as well, because you're not fucking getting any. But I came off Tinder because I got in a relationship, but it was actually a relationship that ended up so toxic, you could have used its energy to get a DeLorean back to 1985. It was okay at first. It actually turned out she was into BDSM, which was something I wasn't too familiar with. I found out she was into BDSM on her second date when she appeared on my doorstep wearing a French maid's outfit. And she asked me to tie her to a black swivel chair I've got in the middle of my living room. So I complied with her wishes and tied her to this black swivel chair I've got in the middle of the living room. And when I'd done that, she said, you can do anything you want to me. And I was like, I'm kind of getting that from the fact that you're tied to a black swivel chair in the middle of my living room. I didn't think we were rehearsing for a kinky mastermind. And she was into other things as well. She was into like arts and crafts and dance and all these types of fiction and dress up that I'd never heard of, like steampunk. Now, steampunk is basically Victorian era cyber fiction, which is how I think she became such an effective gaslighter. But like I say, I mean, it was a toxic relationship, and I played my part in how messed up things got as well. Like the last night we were in bed together, she told me that I was selfish. She said I was ignorant. And, you know, she said something else, but I can't remember what it was because I was having a wank at the time. So I got onto Tinder, and by that point, I was doing comedy, and I used photos of myself on stage, and practically every girl I spoke to said, "You're just looking for material, aren't you?" I was like, "Yeah, have you got any?" Going out on all these crazy dates. But I had to stop because of lockdown about this time last year. Lockdown was okay at the start last year. There was a bit of team spirit, and everybody was on board with getting by this pandemic. I used to go on long walks around my neighbourhood and things. And one day I actually went pretty far and found myself somewhere that was technically very crowded. But everyone stayed at least 6 feet away, so that was good. But all the same, I never went back to that graveyard. And I managed to keep myself safe, well, and busy back at the start. Mainly, I kept myself busy by assuring everyone I know in different apps I was safe and well. By 3 months in, whenever anyone texted to ask how I was doing, I felt like texting back, "I'm doing the same as you. I'm pretending everything's fine. Now, fuck off." Like I say, I'd done a short prison sentence 20 years ago, and I've never been able to describe prison until now. Now, whenever anyone asks, I can say prison was almost exactly like this lockdown, except I didn't have to put up with your partner and kids. And I knew when it was going to be over. And I get tired of wanking in lockdown. I didn't even know you could get sick of wanking. Like every time I went to do it, I knew how the Queen must feel about Prince Andrew. I mean, it was my flesh and blood, but I just didn't want to see it anymore. And I blame 5G for that. I think conspiracy theorists were right about 5G. And I thought 5G was going to be a good thing for shut-in porn addicts. I mean, even monkeys in captivity enjoy a little wank from time to time. I know that for a fact because that was an awkward family outing. Although, if you were a zookeeper, what could you do about a monkey that keeps wanking anyway? I'm sure it's much harder to explain to an 8-year-old why your monkey doesn't have any hands. You see, I've done a few jokes about the lockdown, but I'm not going to make any jokes about the coronavirus itself because I'm old enough to remember jokes about the planes in 9/11, and none of them landed. Actually, I guess I just get sick of lockdown or whatever, because I actually went on a little Tinder date earlier on today. I know we're in lockdown and all the rest of it, but I really wanted to meet this girl and she liked me, so we decided to go for a coffee in the park. And we were going on really well, talking away, and she seemed to like me. I definitely liked her. And at one point, I leaned over to take her hand, and she just looked at my hand and stood up and walked away. And I thought it was because I'd breached social distancing. So I said, wait, where are you going? And she turned around and she said, "Why the fuck do you have BDSM, dogging, toxic relationship, gaslight, and wanking monkeys written in your hand?" Cheers, thanks very much, me. Guys, that's me.
Woo! All right, you guys, keep it going for Jimi Longmuir. And it's got to be super late where you are. So I am.
Yeah, it's 2 a.m.
3 a.m. Oh my gosh. Keep it going, you guys. Now, are you ready for your headliner of the evening? Yes. Okay. So, the pandemic wiped out 3 of the 4 shows the Chicago-based comic produced, but the Comedy Tub Showcase, which is super fun, will be returning to a live stage in spring or summer. For now, you'll find her mostly online, and she's a good friend of mine. Please give it up for Laura Hugg.
Right.
Oh my gosh, thank you so much. There's my big who was talking about that Paula, looking at yourself or seeing yourself on Zoom? It's like my face is so big and white, it's a corporation. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot to qualify. My name's Laura. I'm an alcoholic and an addict. So there you go. Now it counts as for who it needs to, it counts as a meeting. It's going to for me. This is actually my home group, so I'm glad to be here. Actually, and tonight I just want you to know the headliner will sign autographs and court cards after the show. I am an alcoholic. I'm a real alcoholic. I don't know if you ever have anybody who goes to any kind of meetings identifies that way, real alcoholic. Whenever I hear that, I think, fuck you. You know, it's like, I mean, what do you think the rest of us are here just kidding around, you know? Just what with our losing custody of the kids and all, you know? There's my message of tolerance. I actually like performing for a recovery audience. I mean, I like performing for all audiences, but I like performing for recovery audiences. I feel very comfortable in jails, institutions, and deaths. I don't know, that last part didn't translate so much, but I did do, I've gotten a standing ovation once from my stand-up set, and it was at a homeless shelter. And this guy, Shane, used to run a homeless shelter show, and I did it, and they liked me so much, they gave me a standing ovation, which was really amazing because some of those people didn't have feet. And then I went and did the show a month later, and I had planned on doing the same set. And when I got there, they were still there. And I was like, well, I thought you guys would have gotten your lives together by now, or I would have gotten new material, you know? So, but it was well,
That's great. That's awesome.
Yeah, I will say, so I am, you know, drinking was really my thing. And I'm glad I didn't start stand-up until I got sober. And I'm glad that I don't drink now doing stand-up, because there's a lot of people that are younger than me. And when I drink, I don't turn into a cougar. I turn into more of a booger. Something slimy that you can't quite get off your hand. So, you know, my mother hates that joke, but that's also because she's a booger. So, you know, the booger doesn't fall far from the nose. My mom, sadly, is still with us. So I think she'll find that funny if she ever comes to one of my fucking shows. But I did drugs. I said tonight I was an addict. I never identify as an addict. You know, drinking was my thing, a liquid foundation. It's not just for CoverGirl. And, but I've seen counselors at the end of my drinking and, in sobriety. And I was like, yeah, I told this counselor, I'm not really, I'm not an addict. I mean, I did drugs and I remember she was like, oh, you don't think so? What kind of drugs have you done? I was like, I've done some like kiddie drugs, like, a little puff of weed, like something a kid might try, it's not a big deal or whatever, And then I was like, I tried some mushrooms, I tried mushrooms a few times, but you know what? Vegetables, people are all, there people are like, you need more vegetables. I'm like, these mushrooms are vegetables, so is it a stretch? Maybe. And she's like, is that it? And I'm like, okay, no, I did acid. I did do acid on a, couple of weekends in my 10th and both 11th grade years. And, here and there. And then I thought about it and I was like, oh yeah, well, okay. I also, I took some prescription diet pills. It wasn't my prescription, or my diet. It was my well, back then we called them fat friends. You know, I had a fat friend. I don't know what we would call them at body positive ample friends now. You know, fat friends. My fat friend had diet pills and I ate them, which is why she stayed fat, but we didn't stay friends. And, you know, and also I think that, well, okay. So there was this stuff in high school. Sometimes we would inhale. It was called Rush. I don't know if anybody remembers that. Its government name is amyl nitrate, I think is what it is. It comes in a little vial and you inhale it. You get a rush right away, and it's really fun. And then you have a splitting migraine for like 2 hours. And but it, you know, if you inhale it, you get a rush. So you call it Rush. Now, if you inhale it in a gay bar, that's called poppers. Ask for video head cleaner. So I don't want to update the technology on that joke because I don't want to give all my chips back. I've been sober for 24 years. That's a lot of clanking, the clanky walk of shame to give those away. But so yeah, I think that, well, all right. So then also, you know, I used to hit the nitrous tank on occasion. I knew, you know, the dead was still alive and I was hanging out with these hippies and I needed a miracle, you know. And then, you know, of course, in a pinch, you do a whipped cream can or something. But, you know, and then I did peyote. I tried peyote. You know, that, again, do I think that was wise? Do I think that was dangerous? It was buttons, you know, peyote, they call them buttons of peyote. And I like fashion, you know, I probably would have gone into fashion design had I not gone into nothing. And I think that was, oh, I also snorted crank. Okay, so then I snorted crank, but that was made in this, you know, this biker's bathtub, and I felt like I had to do it. I didn't want to offend my mom's new boyfriend. But if you inhale that in a gay bar, it's called crystal meth. And I didn't want to offend my mom's new hairdresser. So I also huffed model glue for a period, you know, but do I think that that's drug abuse? No, I was like, that is what I would consider a dark crafting period. No, I had a hobby on my back. What did you want me to do? You know, did I get charged with a DIY here and there? Yes, I did. You know, did I black out sometimes huffing model glue and wake up in a pile of felt scraps and googly eyes staring up at me everywhere and popsicle stick stuck to my ass and a couple of half-made puppets in one corner and a haunted sock monkey in the other? Yes, maybe so, you know, but come on. And then also I huffed aerosol deodorant, which is a way better high than the roll-on. So, you know. But, you know, all right. So then after reviewing the list, I was like, okay, maybe I have maybe I'm a drug addict. Maybe I have a drug problem. Because by the end of my drug use, I just like my drugs hospice grade. My grandmother got really sick in the 90s and she was in the hospital on a morphine drip, and I was visiting her and I looked at it and I said, hey, are you going to finish that? I visited a lot of grandmas in the 90s and they weren't all mine, you know, so service is the secret, candy striper. So, you know, but I had, so I got sober. My family had a little bit of an intervention for me, but it wasn't the kind where the family like, oh, come over, we're getting together, and you think this is a great opportunity to go over and hit up every relative in a private corner for $20. It was like, you know, and then they tell you have a problem. My family likes me, but they don't like each other. So my intervention was me traveling around on a Greyhound bus visiting my relatives so they could tell me what my problem is. And now that I'm sober, I just call it visiting. But I, I heard, I heard them. And so I started, so I came into recovery, and I struggled with it. Like a lot of people, I struggled with the concept of a higher power. People are like, oh, it's religious or whatever. And I remember my first sponsor was like, it's not religious. You can pick whatever you want, and I'm like, oh, that's great. It's like a giant Sunday bar, but my whole life depends on it, how exciting, I mean, I do believe in God. The nice thing about getting my belief in God from 12-step programs is, we don't have to pray before we eat. We just pray when we think it'll get us our driver's licenses back, so I believe God knows are the only sincere prayers ever said. But I don't know exactly what I think God is, but here's what I hope God is not. I don't like the concept of God as a father. It's not because I have a problem with God being male. I just didn't want to go into the afterlife being raised by another single parent. No offense, most people that might be watching this that are in recovery. It's always a dicey one in recovery circles, because everybody's working hard and not happy about it. But, it just wasn't that fun. I had hoped heaven would hold more for me than me cooking myself a lot of toast. So, which is, I'm also a vegan. I had to say that. I haven't said that in like 2 days. God, it's like I could breathe again. I've been better than you all since 2015. So, you guys I'm practicing acceptance that you all go down to the petting zoo every day for lunch. But anyway, that's an outside issue. So so my sponsor has been really helpful, having a sponsor. My sponsor, it's amazing being in recovery. I mean, I don't have a college degree, but at one point in my life, I have had all at one time, I've had a counselor, a sponsor, a Weight Watchers meeting leader, and a therapist. I come with a team of experts. It's like amazing because I used to shoplift a lot. But anyway, I remember telling my sponsor that I hated this woman at work, as the problems start to surface and stuff, and you're trying to deal with it like a raw, you're a raw nerve and learning how to use your tools. Nothing makes me want to stab someone in the face with one of my tools is when they tell me to use it. But, I'm trying not to stab people in the face these days, and in those days too. But I said, yeah, I hate this woman at work, and my sponsor was like, hate, that's very strong. Why don't you pray to your higher power to see how you're like that person? So I'm like, all right. So I did. And then I hated us both, thanks. God really is real. No, but I'm really grateful, even though, that's the big thing about being a comedian in recovery is that you get a chance to take something that is so meaningful and special to you and make absolute fun of it. One of the things I sponsor people now, and I'm really grateful for that. I sponsor people that have a lot more education than me, which was really interesting. I sponsored an author who put footnotes in her inventory. She also included, she had pictures in of people she resented so that I could get a reference point for them. And I said, that's great. And I don't mind, but I feel like when we get to the sex inventory, you should probably just read it. I didn't know how, thorough she was going to be. The biggest, sometimes in early recovery, the biggest thing I tell people is when they go out to face the world, just don't be yourself. That's, it can be a little, stabby. But then, now my life is very different. and I'm grateful for it. Things are, some things are pretty smooth. Some things are not smooth. One of the things that, I had to pull together, like a lot of people in recovery, was my health. I went to the doctor. I had gained weight in sobriety. I had discovered the joys of, eating in the middle of the night. The doctor was like, I think that you should start exercising, start off slow. And so I asked a friend of mine, he was in pretty good shape. I said, you're in good shape. The doctor said I need to start exercising and losing weight. And I was like, you seem fit. And he goes, well, I'll give you a workout routine that I started off with. It's Angela Lansbury's workout for seniors. And I was like, you did that? He said, yes, when I was in a mental institution. And I was like, you know what? That's the perfect reference for me. So I started off doing, that. I started off with no impact aerobics. And then I gradually got into more exercise kind of stuff, and found that it helped me lose weight and be healthy, and it helped calm me a lot. I even started running. That was exciting. I mean, running without the police chasing me, what a different experience, And then I actually found myself running outside in the winter. I mean, I had a coordinated outfit and everything. I mean, I knew I was a miracle when I became one of those people that I fucking hate. That's how you know it's working. Yeah, I mean, and actually I thought I was proficient. I became proficient enough in exercising that I could improvise the workout, like, which is a tool I like to take with me, right? So I was visiting family, and it had been a while, and I get nervous around my family, feeling not good enough or whatever. And I'm like, I'm going to exercise, but I couldn't get to the gym, or I couldn't, I didn't have any DVDs or any equipment. So I'm like, I'm just going to do what many of my sponsees had told me, the jailhouse workout. I just did some push-ups, some sit-ups, some jumping jacks, and then I went upstairs and shanked my Aunt Helen. So, thank you. The nice thing of, the interesting thing about exercising later in life is that, I know that I feel a burn. I just don't know if I'm burning something or breaking it, because I now do with fitness what I used to do with crystal meth. So the weight loss results are a lot slower, but there's less chance of me digging out a homemade basement in my second floor apartment. So I feel like it's worth it, and so do my neighbors downstairs, Ben and Tina, so I'm really grateful. I'm not grateful there's a pandemic, but I will say that I'm grateful to have a spiritual practice that I got from recovery to endure this pandemic. I'm grateful for prayer, and I'm grateful to be able to connect, with my higher power. And I'm really grateful for meditation, which is, something I was directed to do probably in my second year of sobriety, and really got into at 17 years of sobriety. So when I was starting to chew the wallpaper off, of everywhere I went. But, it helps me with my racing mind. The Buddhists call that kind of thinking a monkey mind, because the mind, it chatters, it races and chatters, and I use meditation because I have a monkey mind. My mind races and chatters, and also I throw my feces. So, all right, that's going to be it for me. Thank you so much. Glad I could be with you all. Glad we could be here tonight, and I'll keep coming back.
Right. Keep it going, you guys, for Laura Hugg. Woo! All right. So got a couple of reminders before I leave you all this evening. So please join us tomorrow for a couple of other SuitMan productions. So at 8 a.m. Pacific, we've got autistic artists and we're highlighting artists on the spectrum. And then at noon Pacific time, it's dating with disabilities. So we're discussing dating with a panel of people, both mental and physical disabilities, with members from the UK and the US. And you can also join us for another Laughing Through Recovery, which is going to be on June 6th. So let's give it up for all of the comedians that you've seen tonight. Got Katie Finn, Mean Dave, Paula Comedy, Jimi, Longmuir, and Laura Hugg. Thanks so much. I've been your host, Kim Cook. Good night.
Thanks, Kim. Thanks, everyone.
Thanks.